Warning. Warning. The following video contains mature content not suitable for children or the easily offended. Please keep this in mind when watching. Thank you and please enjoy.
Monster Prom was released on the 27th of April 2018 and was developed by Beautiful Glitch and published by those awesome guys. The game is a competitive dating simulator and is really good. The main goal of the game is, you guessed it, seduce one of the various love interests into going to prom with you while destroying anyone who gets in your way. Hey, are you, okay? I'm swell! Why do you ask? Well, compared to the last video, you seem more happy, cheerful, full of life, psychotic and hyperactive. What? Are you saying there's something wrong with me? Are you trying to make me look bad? It's not that, it's just... Oh, I know. You want Miranda to yourself, so you're pointing out my flaws to make her hate me. What? No. You've lost your goddamn mind. Well... I'm not gonna let that happen, Mr. Monotone. She's all mine. Dude, you're arguing with yourself over a fictional character. We just need to calm down and... Where did you get that knife?
After realizing that he would just be stabbing himself, Eb decided to tone it down a little since this argument was really weird.
Anyway, Monster Prom takes the dating sim formula, condenses it into shorter playthroughs to be more akin to a party game, chucks in multiplayer and copious amounts of extremely well-written, self-aware dialogue along with all the sex, drugs, booze, and spawning of satanic monstrosities from your own high school days. You'll gain absolutely nothing trying to take this game seriously. I mean, come on, this is a game where eating someone's entrails makes you a more fun person. Realism isn't exactly a factor here. But in saying all this, what the frick is so amazing about Monster Prom? So from the get-go, this game is aesthetics overload. This game gets an S+ for style points. From the overly cartoony characters and well-designed to the surf music done by Mesa Chops, that is not currently being played because copyright. And even down to the font menus and overlays. It's packed with personality and meshes well with the game's writing. Nothing feels out of place or like it wouldn't be in a Monster High School setting. Speaking of which, Spooky High looks phenomenal. Surrounded by a forest, making it feel secluded, the building itself is very abstract and haphazardly thrown together, giving it a very over-the-top look and making me wonder how lost everyone must have been on their first day. The looks and style of Monster Prom is something they definitely had to get right since the gameplay is very minimal when you break it down, but that doesn't mean it's not a fun time. Alright, so whether or not you're playing single or multiplayer, majority of the gameplay is the same. You start off going through the stupidest pop quiz ever, trademark, where you answer 3 randomized questions. The first 2 will increase one of the 6 stats depending on the answers you give. These are smarts, boldness, creativity, charm, fun, and money. The third question has answers that correlate to one of the 6 main dates and will give you hard points with that particular monster. This gives you a base to work with and begin wooing your prom date. You then come to the school building with a bunch of places you can go. Each location represents a stat and going to that particular place will increase that stat by 2 points. In multiplayer, however, once someone goes to that spot, no other player can go there, so you can block off others from increasing certain stats. Very effective if you're both going for the same person. You then get treated to one of the many events that can take place. While they are randomized, they will generally involve whoever you have the most hard points with. Every time there is an event, you will have to pass a stat check in the form of a decision. This is where things get a bit technical. You'll be prompted to pick between 2 options, but it won't tell you what stat it is going to use. You need to guess or remember what stat is associated with what answer, but that's not all. Each answer has 2 outcomes. You either pass the check, which increases other stats and hearts with a character, or you fail and lose stats. If you've been playing well and keeping your stats high, you should pass easily, but if not, then you're in for a rough time. Also, even if you have high stats, you need to make a choice that goes with whatever the highest stat is, i.e., if the answers use boldness and charm, if your charm stat is higher, you need to pick that answer to pass. So overall, there are 4 unique outcomes to every event, keeping the tedium to a minimum. Once everyone has done this, you will then be able to shuffle the player order if you're in a multiplayer game. You can either go random, which does what it says, or challenge, where you will get given a prompt to say something followed by a question. Players then decide the player order based on the question and the answer to the prompt. Low-key, this may divulge into arguments. This helps make sure players aren't constantly blocked off from increasing certain stats. You then begin lunchtime. There are 5 tables you can choose to sit at with random seating arrangements each time. 3 tables will have 2 of the main dates sitting there, and the other 2 will have either side characters or the shopkeeper. Same goes here. Once a player chooses a table, no other player can choose that one, so if your waifu/husbando be sitting next to someone else's, you're blocked off from interacting with them. If you go to a table with the main dates, you will play through an event and make a decision that will increase your hearts with either one of the 2 there depending on the answer. It's pretty straightforward. If you choose one of the side characters, you play an event and make a choice that will significantly increase a stat, which can be very helpful if you're behind. Lastly, if you go to the cat girl, you will enter her shop. You can buy items using money that will give you stat increases, or decreases if you buy weird crap, as well as special event items that I'll get into a bit later. Keep in mind, however, that money also counts as a stat and is used in certain checks. The more times you play through the game, the more items you can unlock to purchase. Trust me,
Censored.
it gets weird. Once lunchtime is over, you go through another player order shuffle and then go back to the school and do the same thing from before, with the shop sometimes replacing one of the location options. Now in single player you repeat this process until prom night, but in multiplayer you also have weekend events. During this, a random player gets chosen to play at an event. One event will be that whoever another player has hearts with will ask you a question about them, and you can either put them in a good light, increasing their heart points, or sabotage them and decrease the points, stating as a cutthroat, we're old people. If you only have 2 players, the same event will play out each weekend, but if you have more, then a different event can play out. This time, the chosen player will have to choose another player for a stat check that you can either pass or fail. The game also blocks you off from seeing the other stats, so you have to remember who had what and choose wisely. Pass the check and both players get stat increases. Fail and you lose stats. Finally, prom night. This is where all your hard work or lack thereof comes into play. You choose who you want to ask to prom. Success is determined by if you have enough heart points with the person and if particular stats are high enough. If all requirements are met, then congratulations, you get to have an awesome night at prom. However, if you fail to meet the prerequisites, you lose. And the game makes you feel really bad about it. You can also choose to go by yourself if you want to prove a point. The game ends credits roll and you can do it all over again. Now the game has... what the...
Hey,
Alice, what are you doing?
aren't you forgetting the secret endings?
No, I'm getting there, stop rushing me.
Also, didn't you say that the gameplay was minimal? Seems complex to me.
Okay, fine. Now that I look at it, it's pretty complex and leads into having some strategy. But it's still not like you have to do some action platforming to win a monster's heart, you just click on things.
Also, you haven't talked about...
Hey, wait a second, that's a spoiler, don't ruin it for people. If you're gonna keep complaining, I won't include you in videos anymore.
Okay, I apologize. Please continue.
Thank you. Now if you don't mind... As I was saying, there are special and secret endings. For the main 6, there are various special endings you can acquire. From what I know, they are randomized and involve having certain hearts and stats. You'll know if you're on one of these ending routes because the events you will play out will be connected to each other instead of being random. You can also get endings with other characters, but I'll let you work that one out on your own. Lastly, there are item endings where buying one of the items marked with event will make the events you play from then on involve this item. From what I understand, you need to pass all stat checks in order to successfully get these endings. If you fail, you will get put back onto a normal route. Alrighty, that's the gameplay section done. Now let's briefly look at each of your potential prom dates, at least the main 6 anyway because I'm lazy and this will make my life easier.
Miranda.
Miranda Vanderbilt is a mermaid princess and is the cutest genocidal maniac I've ever seen. She's a very polite person who loves cute things but definitely isn't the brightest of the bunch. Being royalty, she has served for various activities including executions, imagination, and eating, because apparently being rich means you bypass the laws of biology. She also has a passion for silverware and napkin folding and despises anything that could upset the very foundation of her kingdom. Miranda is probably one of the more docile and peaceful members of the group, which is saying something. But if you would like to date her, be ready to have a foolproof plan on how to take out the air people and secure her inevitable hostile takeover of the world. But just look at that face, she's so precious.
Damien.
Damien LeVay is a demon from hell who loves fire, violence, and more fire. If Miranda was on one end of the spectrum, Damien probably set fire to the other side. He's not all carnage though. He believes that love is one of the most hardcore things in the world, which is surprisingly sweet coming from someone like him. He's prone to punch first and then punch harder if the first time failed. He's very passionate and is actually a pretty hard worker at times. If you want to ask Damien to prom, you gotta show that you are the most badass
Bad word.
he's ever met. Go on, start setting fire to something and show him your burning passion and... Oh.
This is your PSA to remind you not to set fires inside your own home. Thank you. Scott.
Scott Howell is a werewolf jock with a heart of gold. To put it bluntly, Scott is an idiot, but a lovable one. He really loves his sports and anything sport related, as well as exhibiting dog-like behavior. Scott also loves cheerleading and is always ready to start a cheer for his friends, even if they really don't want him to. He kinda just gets along with everyone. Scott is actually the easiest of the main 6 to ask to prom, which I think relates to how open and loving the big Oph really is. Show that wolf boy your team spirit and you might just land yourself a date.
Liam.
Liam de Linecore is a vampire who is totally into that thing you've never heard of. This guy makes hipsters look like mindless sheep. He's an intellectual and has a deep-rooted love of Instagram filters. But behind the hipster is a lovable dork that tends to show up around the people he likes. Just don't ask the guy out to dinner. All he'll do is take pics of his food and complain that eating is mainstream. Conquering Liam's heart will mean sacrificing any and all cliches, showing your devotion to the finer, most obscure things in life that probably don't even exist. It's either that or teach him how to draw yaoi, so you know, take your pick I guess. I'm not here to tell you how to live your fictional love life.
Polly.
Yay!
Pollygeist is a ghost with a special power to get drunk and high despite not having a physical body. Like she says she can't physically eat food, but then 90% of the time you see her she's drunk. Also, I don't know how many reasons she has for how she died, but... wait a second. And we're just gonna put that there, and boom, I'm relevant now. Polly is a party goer to the extreme. She's fun-loving and very promiscuous, but don't let that throw you off, because having another person to crash a funeral with is always a good time.
Vera.
What?
Vera Oberlin is a Gorgon who is always looking for her next business venture, which generally involves blackmail, drugs, and probably murder. Vera isn't here to deal with your lovey-dovey bullcrap and will only associate with you if you're worth her time and can earn her money. Vera is the hardest of the 6 to win with, which also plays into her personality. She ain't here to play games. If you aren't useful to her and don't appease her every whim, expect to receive a rejection. God, I can just hear this picture. A major player in the criminal underworld, she is ruthless and cold-hearted. But show your resourcefulness and she may warm up to you. So a major aspect of the game that myself and many others praise is the amazing LGBTQ+ representation. When starting a game, you will select a character from the 4 available. While they do each have canon names and genders, you are free to name your character whatever you want and choose which pronouns the game will use for your character. No matter who you pick and what pronouns you use, you aren't blocked off from anything in the game. You are free to pursue whoever you wish and there are no restrictions based on your gender identity or sexuality. It's amazing how something so simple as letting players choose their pronouns can elevate an already great game to new heights by letting gamers from all walks of life be represented. Monster Prom succeeds and surpasses what it set out to achieve. If you're in the mood for a fun, more adult-oriented party game, then I could not recommend Monster Prom enough. In essence, it's nearly a perfect game, excluding the online issues that are very easy to work around. I can't honestly fault anything. It's fun, hilarious, and has immense amounts of replay value, and is a great party game with friends or a good time killer solo. This isn't the game you play when you're looking for grandiose stories and epic gameplay. You play this to have a laugh and enjoy some time with friends. And that is what is so amazing about Monster Prom. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. Now go out there and win some hearts. Hello all, first and foremost, yes, I slightly changed my name to be easier to say and make it easier to work with overall. Secondly, no, this video didn't take over a month to make, I just got very busy with personal stuff and also went away on a holiday for a week. Lastly, let me know you like the video formula. I want this to be my main series and make videos in a similar style. Thanks again for watching, bye bye!